Top of the morning. So it's February 28th. World's on fire. Everything is fine. Nothing to look at. Go about your business. Put your 2 masks on, your hand sanitizer. Nothing to see. Well, that's a fucking ball of lies, isn't it? The CEO of Moderna was on Fox News because for some reason there was a patented gene sequence patented by Moderna 3 years ago in the COOF DNA. I don't know if I can say the name of the virus. We're just called the COOF. The head of Moderna was trying to explain it away as it could happen. The chances of that happening is 1 in 3 trillion. Canada's debt's 9 trillion, so yeah. Someone put that DNA in there. Is it a weapon? I am trained. I have some training in biological, chemical, and nuclear warfare. A little bit. And I can tell you that viruses just don't pick up man-made DNA. They don't. Have we been lied to the last 2 years? Maybe this is what's actually behind what's going on in Ukraine. Because I think when the average person wakes up and realizes we've been fucking lied to for the last 2 years, we've lost everything. Everything. I know 5 people who took their own lives. I know 3 children on top of those 5 others who killed themselves. I know people who've lost businesses. I've paid people's bills because I'm a little better off than some. I want to help people out. My neighbors lost their power because they got behind on a bill. It happens. People aren't doing well. You just drive around and look. Have you bought groceries lately? I spent $140 recently at the grocery store on 2 bags of groceries and 2 cases of water. $140. There wasn't a whole lot in there, really. Some fruits and veggies. I didn't buy any meat there. I get my meat from my local butcher shop. If you're going to do that, please support your local butcher shops. They do fantastic stuff. I look horrendous today because sleep is for the wicked. But I think the governments are hoping that you won't notice. You won't notice that you've lost everything in the last 2 years. Some people have gotten fabulously rich. Super, super rich. Most people have gotten poor. Did you know here in Canada, they are trying to put through basic universal income and a digital credit score? Did you know that? Bill S-223. How poetic. It's already made it past the first reading of Parliament. Do Canadians know they're going to have a government-controlled credit score? I don't know if you noticed, but with the truckers, anybody who protested or sent some money had their accounts seized. One guy who had his account seized, they also went after his wife and his ex-wife. His wife, they lowered her credit score by 109 points. And they even went after his ex-wife. Basically just threatened her. And the banks were giving carte blanche to do this. And everyone seems okay because it wasn't them this time. When is it not okay? When is it not okay when your neighbors lose everything? Your friends lose everything. I know lots of people getting divorced. Drug use is through the fucking roof. I get Canadian government prescribed marijuana, and I don't use a whole lot of it because I don't like the way it makes me feel. But a lot of people are deep in. It's funny that gyms were closed, but the liquor stores and the pot stores were open because people need that. People need physical activity to help clear their mind. I used to love running. Loved it. Felt terrible, say, for the first 2 kilometers. We do live in interesting times, Dennis. I used to love running. Get about 2 kilometers in, I start feeling good. Get about 7 kilometers in, my sciatic nerve flares up. And I used to have the sergeant. He used to run us 30 kilometers a week. We used to do 3 10Ks a week, sometimes with a 3K victory lap at the end. So a lot of kilometers. And I would run pretty good. I'm an older fella compared to the other guys I served with. And I get about 7K in. I'm starting to Terry Fox it. If you guys know what that means, you'd understand. And I'd always finish, mostly because I'm stubborn. Kind of stupid, I guess. But in today's world, nobody notices anything at all. People can't figure out this whole Ukraine thing. I'm going to give you my version of Cole's notes on Ukraine. Take it with a grain of salt because I'm not the smartest guy. Russia, since the fall of the Soviet Union, has been looking for a buffer.
Hey there, Tony.
Anyway, I got to go. Hang on. I'll be back. Yeah?
Oh, nothing important if you're on the phone.
No, I was making a video, but what do you need?
Oh, Audrey or what's his name guy are going to come over and drop off some banana muffins for us.
Oh.
They're just not going to ring the bell because they know it'll the dogs will react.
Okay. You're currently on live stream, so
Right.
It's okay. It's okay.
I'll check about that.
My apologies. My neighbors are bringing over banana muffins. But I'll give you the Cole's notes on this. Russia just wanted a buffer between them and the West. Part of that buffer would be Ukraine, Romania, Belarus. They wanted a buffer. So they didn't want NATO on their doorstep. They've been wanting this for the last 14 years. But NATO kept pushing east. Eventually, Russia lashed out, and they did. And this is what we get now. We have that now. It's not good. It's not good for anybody. Could this go nuclear? Sure, it could. I live next to a major air base. I would never know that if it went nuclear. I would probably see a flash in the sky, and then I'd turn to dust. Would that ever happen? Crazier things have happened. Much, much crazier things have happened. For example, someone might have released a virus to kill a large part of the population. Crazy things have happened. That might have happened. We can't say if it was a weapon. Personally, I believe it was a weapon. That's just my opinion. Take it for what you think it is. I am not a medical doctor, even though I've played one in movies. You know, when I wake up every day, I kind of take it as a blessing because maybe tomorrow we're not going to be here. And what I'm saying is, if Russia loses a large amount of troops to the Ukrainians, the Western nations start getting involved and directly sending them combat support. And what I mean by that is, I mean aircraft, helicopters, heavy weapons. I know they want to supply small arms ammunition, machine guns, anti-tank missiles defensively. Yeah. Weapons are not defensive. It's how you use them, right? No one cares. It's a lot of propaganda on the media, an awful lot of propaganda. And generally, I think the Russians are behaving themselves as any army can and will do. But I think that layer of control for the Russian military is very slim and very tedious for them. And I think if they do lay siege to the city of Kiev, they will pound that city into the ground, killing hundreds of thousands of civilians. And NATO will step up and push in. If I was NATO, I'd go through Belarus, because Belarus is currently looking south, not west. And Belarus doesn't have a large military. And if NATO was to push through Belarus and then come through Belarus and then head south towards Kiev, surrounding the Russians, that'd be quite the fucking party. But then Putin would nuke us. Here in Canada, our leader, Justin Trudeau, is weak. He's a weak, weak little man. When confronted by truckers protesting, he fled, said he had COVID. I've heard stories that they moved him out of the country, they moved him to a bunker. Who knows? when Trudeau finally came back to the city of Ottawa to confront the truckers, I'm even going to say confront, address the truckers, he sent in riot teams, men on horsebacks trampling little old ladies. And of course, the police are saying the truckers started this by throwing a bicycle at the horses that they were being trampled with. Haven't seen any video of it. Seeing hours and hours and hours of video. I followed a guy live online who would watch truckers of all sorts of different backgrounds feed the homeless, feed anybody. Even I watched a video of them feeding the cops until the cops realized they're on video. Then they dropped their food and ran away. Some Lebanese guys from London, Ontario area brought a pizza oven, a wood-fired pizza oven. Hot tub, bouncy castles, very destructive. You know, if Nazis had gone on march on Ottawa, they're bringing fucking bouncy castles and pizza ovens because it's what Nazis do. That's sarcasm. Some people don't get it. It's a very strange time to be alive, and we may not be alive tomorrow. Take your money into the banks. That's what I did. I took a lot of money out of banks. Hurt them financially. There's not a lot of printed money in this country. Most of our money doesn't really exist. It exists in ones and zeros. If you can squirrel that away, gold, silver. I noticed the silver's down this morning, 24 cents. And I got someone at my door. You think I can make a live stream? I'll be back. Hey. My apologies again. You think for a moment I could have peace. Not in this house. There's always something on the go. So, where do I think the whole Russia-Ukraine thing is going to end up? Well, the West has weak leaders. The head of the German military said just, I think it was Monday or Tuesday, that they cannot defend the interests of Germany. In the last 10 years, their military has been gutted. Most nations' military have been gutted. I served in the CF for 23 years. I won't begin to describe some of the things I've seen over the years, but one day I will. I do have a second channel where I do talk about my military service quite a lot. The West was hoping that the threat of violence and sanctions would work against people like Russia, China, nations of this sort. But instead, here in Canada, we have purple-haired soldiers who every day their gender may change. Listen, I don't care what you do at home, but when you wear the uniform, you're a soldier. I don't care about your sexuality. In the last 2 years of my service, I don't know how many courses I've had to do about LGBTQ, whatever. People's pronouns, how to address people. I don't care. I really, really don't care. And I know people are thinking that's terrible, but I don't. Don't give a shit who you sleep with. I don't care that you wear puppy dog tails when you're at home. Don't care. Because now when things are getting tough, fighting the Russians maybe, what are we going to do? I got a friend of mine whose spouse is an officer, and that person is terrified to go to war. They said, I didn't sign up for this. Oh, yes, you did. You did. You signed up to fight the Russians. Any bad guy that Canada thinks is a bad guy, you signed up to fight. I've had a lot of friends reach out to me. I retired last month. I've had a lot of friends reach out to me like, how the fuck do I get out of the military? I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't want to go to Russia. I'm like, pack your mucklucks in your sleeping bag. Probably going to need them. Things aren't good. Things really aren't good. The cost of food is up. Interest rates in Canada are going up. Did you know that? Next month, if you have a mortgage, that's a variable rate. It's going to get painful. People like me are going to buy your house at a tax sale. The West has been run by weak leaders for the past 15, 20 years. Do you know why Russia attacked when Joe Biden was in power? Because Joe Biden doesn't even know where Ukraine is. He knows his son's making money out of there. I heard Uncle Joe's making some money too. Can't prove it, but I heard he is. So what does that tell you? That tells me there's a lot of corruption going on. How do politicians who make $300,000 a year retire with bank accounts with $200+ million in them? Now I'm pretty good at my nickels and dimes. I've invested some money over the years. I watch my nickels and dimes fairly closely. I haven't made $200 million. I haven't. I don't know anybody who's made $200 million. The richest person I know has a wealth of about $20 million. And she got it through real estate investing and a dead husband. We'll believe that for another day. Here in Canada, they're talking about sending 3,600 troops to Poland, Latvia. Is Latvia going to be there next week? See, there's a little part of that part of the world. You got Estonia, Latvia, and there's another place. Terrible. But the Russians have a little place called Kaliningrad, which is basically an armed enclave in northern Europe. And they have missile systems there. In NATO, it's called the Stone, SSN-26, I think it's called. SSN-26. Anyway, Iceland, I can't pronounce it. Anyway, that could reach out and touch all of Europe's capitals from where it's located in Kaliningrad. Is NATO really going to give that a try? Are they? Is Putin crazy enough to start taking out large European cities? I'm not saying Ukraine's not part of Europe. I'm just saying they're already intact. How crazy is this going to get? They literally want to be left alone, mind their own fucking business. And we kept pushing and pushing, but now we're right on their doorstep. Did you not think they're going to react? We had a leader. Well, we didn't here in Canada. We've never had strong leaders. The United States had Ronald Reagan. Now, Ronald Reagan was an actor, and he was batshit crazy. He told, what was his name? Gorbachev, that they were going to put lasers in space and zap missiles out of the fucking sky. And that brought the Soviet Union to its knees. The Soviet Union tried to match it dollar for dollar in technology to fight lasers in space. It was called Star Wars program. SDI, I think it's actually was called. Yeah. Anyway. They're going to put lasers in space, and the Russians like, nope, we're done. We give up. And the fall of the Soviet Union happened after that. The United States can never put that system in space. The technology wasn't there. The money sure as fuck wasn't there. But the Russians fell over and believed it. Now we're trying to scare the Russians again, saying, we're coming up to your border. We're just friendly, though. We're friendly, coming right up to your borders. What do you think the Russians are going to do? Do you think they're going to take that chance? No. I bet right now China's like this. Get me some of that Taiwan, some of that sweet, sweet Taiwan. Because what's NATO going to do? What's the Americans going to do? The Americans have a very weak leadership right now. They have Biden, who doesn't know what year it is or month it is. He still thinks corn pop is a threat to the United States. Joe Biden shit himself at the Vatican. They had to bring a second pair of pants. No, why would you bring a second pair of pants to the Vatican? All that sex with children allegedly goes on at the Vatican? Or did he poop himself? I'm kind of torn on this one. I really don't know what he would have done. You have Harris. They call her Heels Up Harris for a reason. She was last week in Europe trying to bring rationality to all what's going on in Europe. And she talked like a fucking hood rat. Nobody takes her seriously. Nobody. She can't even fix her southern border issues. I bet she doesn't even know what the southern border is. And she was a prosecutor. She was a fucking prosecutor. She has no idea where fucking Ukraine even is. Ask your friends where Ukraine is. Go ahead, I'll wait. Ask them where Ukraine is. Said, should we get involved in Ukraine? Now, I don't believe in war. I don't. I was a soldier for many years, and I know war is nasty and dirty. But this isn't our fight. Now, Chrystia Freeland, the Canadian Deputy Prime Minister, her grandfather was a Ukrainian Nazi collaborator, allegedly a bookmaker. I don't know this, can't prove it, but I did know in 2013 her parents did co-sign for her mortgage. So our finance minister and our deputy PM has, she's not good with money. Not good with money. Maybe that's why we're $9 trillion in debt, borrowing $500 million a day here in Canada. Maybe. I don't know. You tell me. I read an article this morning about a doctor in New Brunswick. She's been there for 30 plus years. Sorry, no. She's in her 40s. But she has diabetes. And she's working 70 hours a week, 6,000 patients. She couldn't even take care of herself, and her diabetes was getting out of control. So she packed up and moved to Alberta, where she's working half the hours with half the clients, making twice the money. So we're working our doctors to death. Now, our Minister of Health here in Canada, he was questioned at CPAC one day about what's going on with all this money they've been throwing around. $62 billion in healthcare. Now, here in Canada, healthcare the money comes from the federal government, but then it's sent down to the provinces to spend. Where I live, there's not one new hospital, not one new doctor. I don't have a doctor. Not one new hospital, not one new doctor, not one new nurse. They fired a bunch of nurses, fired a bunch of doctors. I do know of a doctor. My buddy's a physician. He used to get the vax. He's no longer a doctor. My doctor told me unless I'm willing to kill myself, she's not going to help me. She's still a doctor. Even though I filed a complaint against her because I record my conversations, and she said that. She asked if I was suicidal. I'm like, why would I be suicidal? She's like, well, unless you want to kill yourself, I can't help you. Oh, okay. I guess I'm on my own now. Paging Dr. Nick. Hey, it's me, Dr. Nick. Yeah, maybe that's who I get next. I don't know. I plan on leaving this country if us dirty unvaxxed are ever allowed to leave. But I'm taking all my fucking money with me. All of it. I'm not leaving my money here in this country. Justin Trudeau is going to say he needs that money. Fix his eyebrows. Remember how one fell off one day? You guys see that? No one else seen it in the news? Made memes about it. Justin Trudeau's eyebrow fell off. You know, he's a fucking coward. I was going to say he's hiding behind his wife's skirt, but she left him for another man. And allegedly, you know, there's an inquiry going on here in Nova Scotia about the Canada's largest mass shooting. Nothing really in the news about it, though. Nothing. I lost a family member. I'm not close to my family, but I still lost a family member. It affects me. Nothing. Nothing is said. But the world's on fire and everything is good, right? Everything's good. You got Netflix, right? Liquor stores open. Pot stores open. It's all good. You got gas in your gas tank. $1.57 here in where I am in Nova Scotia. $1.57. You know, a few years ago, the Americans were a net exporter of fuel. Under Biden, 7% of the Americans' fuel now comes from Russia. Maybe that's where old, Biden's getting the shekels from. Somebody explain that to me. How does Hunter Biden, who's a crackhead, have you seen the pictures of him smoking a crack pipe? Having relations with women of... they're so young, you can't tell how young they actually are. Have you not seen those pictures and videos? Have you not seen Hunter Biden smoking a crack pipe with his little tiny teeth? He got veneers now, but how in the fuck did we let it get this bad, everyone? You know, when I was younger, I had this mentality that I'll get around to paying my bills when I get around to paying my bills. And then one time my collection agent called me. I was like, oh, shit, this can't be good. We can't just let things go. You just can't. You can't just turn a blind eye and things will get better tomorrow. That doesn't fucking happen. Now, I am a believer that, if you have a big problem, sleep on it overnight. And with any luck, just sort it out. But a lot of times those problems are still there and you have to confront them face to face. You got to do something about it. But what do you do? What do you do when your presidents and your prime ministers are so fucking corrupt and inept? One has a tapioca brain and the other guy thinks truckers are Nazis. And that's the other thing. Putin said he's going into Ukraine to denazify Ukraine. I've been called a Nazi for years by the Canadian government, by fucking you name it, I've been called a Nazi. People I don't even know have called me Nazis. I've been investigated for being a Nazi by CSIS, the Canadian Forces National Investigation Service, the RCMP. But I'm not a Nazi. I'm many things, but I'm not a Nazi. But Putin, he's going to denazify Ukraine. So all those people here in North America, the blue-haired fucking screaming wenches, I will pay for your airfare to Poland, and I'll help you get across the border into Ukraine. Actually, right now, they're looking for fighters from around the world. I will pay your airfare to go and punch a Nazi. Now, there's about 200,000 of them, allegedly, running around the Ukraine. Someone tossed out that number. I don't know where it came from. 200,000 Nazis. Fucking Nazis are under the bed. That's where I keep my Nazis, under the bed, in a box. So if you folks want to go punch Nazis, I will pay your airfare to Ukraine. I will pay it. If you believe so strongly that you want to go punch a Nazi, I'm sure the Russians will welcome you with open arms. Come, brothers, come. Let's go denazify Ukraine. I'm fucking sure of it. I am fucking sure of it. And when you're there, I want you to be punching and stabbing Nazis. I want you to do that. You'll feel better about yourself. Maybe you'll dye your hair a regular color. Maybe. I don't know how many kombucha enemas and how much soy lattes you got to fucking deal with before you reach that level of fucking insanity. Every time you blink, you see Nazis. But you're there. I see you. I know who you are. You can't make this shit up anymore. You just can't. The news writes itself. Alex Jones is a fucking prophet. Last year, he said in February of 2022, there will be a major war, a major European war. Now, he also said there's going to be HIV-infected goblins running around, but we haven't seen those yet. True North, I don't support the police, period. I don't. I've had friends who were at the protests in Ottawa, non-violent veterans, people who've given everything for this nation. They were dragged out of the line as they wrapped their arms around each other like this, pulled out of the line and beaten by the police. And now you want the same guys to go fight your wars for you. Do you think the average soldier in Canada who is seeing this thinks, I should go to war for Trudeau and die? Because if I do survive and come back, the police are just going to beat me anyway when I disagree with the government. Let that sink in. I seen an article yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. A European parliamentary member said maybe we should loosen gun laws in Europe. Maybe. Because when 200,000 screaming Russians come across your border and you're like, the public shouldn't own firearms. Those are dirty. Ukraine, I watched videos on the weekend of them literally just lining people up and handing people rifles. Saying, here, defend the country. A citizen's militia, if you will. It's funny, there's a country just south of me that has something similar to that. Second Amendment, I think, in the United States. Yes. We'll just have a gun. It's not a bad thing. It's just a tool. It's like a shovel. It has a purpose, and if you use it for the wrong purpose, it's not good. But if you use it for the right purpose, it's good. And there's European parliamentary members going, maybe we should loosen some gun laws. because you never know when the next 200,000 Russians are going to come screaming across our border. Now, the Russians doing very well? No, not really. They've made progress. They're going a lot slower than I thought they would, and they're being a lot more gentle than I thought they would. I figured by now they'd just be burning cities to the ground, absolutely burning cities to the ground, but they're not. So where does this end? Nuclear war? Sanctions? Sanctions aren't going to work. Sanctions won't work. The Russians have ways around this. So they have what's called gold. With gold, you can buy things. Countries will trade with Russia. They won't use the ruble to trade. They'll use gold. They're sitting on a mountain of it. But of course, even that will run out eventually. So is Russia going to step back across their own borders and say, made a bit of a mistake? Or are they going to go full on, push through Ukraine, go up through Poland, meet up with, Lithuania, Estonia? It's kind of like where are we at? Kind of like a diagonal. Like Diagolon. For those of you who don't know what that flag means, it was a meme because at one point, the provinces and states that weren't going along with the whole COVID thing was basically a diagonal across North America. Hence the term Diagolon. Hence the meme flag. And no, it doesn't really stand for much except for a meme. And if you don't understand that, then that's probably why we're in this situation. You're so easily led and lied to and misled. It's funny how the Google algorithm works. If you type in certain things, you cannot find it, even though you know you've seen it. It's there. The RCMP in Canada are saying there's no videos of horses stomping over ladies and walkers, but there is a video of a guy throwing a bicycle at the horse, but no one's ever seen it. Here in Canada, the news is saying at no point were any truckers taken at gunpoint by the RCMP. Well, that's a lie. The videos are there. One of the last truckers to leave Ottawa, someone fired a shotgun through the backside of his sleeper in his truck. They also slashed all of his tires. He was parked at a hotel parking lot. The Canadian news doesn't want to deal with that, do they? No, because Trudeau has given them, was it $1.6 billion in the last 2 years? You can't even find any really negative publicity about Trudeau unless you go to international news. It's funny, though. The father of the child he allegedly sexually assaulted when he was at Grey something Academy out in BC, allegedly. And allegedly, the fathers came out and said, we'll give Trudeau back the $2.25 million for raping his daughter. They want to talk what's been going on. Allegedly, his daughter was 13 years old when Trudeau had a relationship with her. He was 29. But this is all alleged because there's nothing in the news, right? It takes a bit of Googling to find it. I use DuckDuckGo. Anyway, before I go, the coffee mug. saltycracker.com for fine coffee mugs. Anyway, I'm just going to go. I got a couple things I have to do this morning. I got to have lunch with myself again today. Can't be late for that. I got important things to do. No, I don't. You guys have a great day.